All right. Hello there. So I'm here with the fourth video in the series of preparing for the 2021 school year. And today I want to talk about using school-wide expectations in the classroom. So first, just like before, why? Why do we do that? So I have a quote here from Harry Wong that the effective teacher spent time organizing and structuring their classroom so that students knew what to do to succeed. And I think on a basic level, from my experience, I've actually asked students this before when I ask them, "Hey, what are you not supposed to do in the classroom?" They could sit there for weeks and just laundry list everything they're not supposed to do in the classroom. But then when I turn it around and say, "Okay, so what are you supposed to do in the classroom?" There's about a minute or two, and then crickets after that. And I say that I've done that. I've done that with my own students, and I've also done that with other students that I've worked with this year as I've been invited into other classrooms across the district. So um, I think that's pretty representative of what, or rather, how powerful it can be to state to students what you expect them to do. So why do we use school-wide expectations in our classroom? Well, it helps tell them what to do to succeed, and also it kind of utilizes the structures that are already in place across your campus, and that helps with consistency. That helps with communication among staff at the school, among the students. They know that when they go, if this classroom is safe, responsible, respectful, then this classroom is also going to be safe, responsible, respectful. You know, if this classroom shows pride by doing certain things, then they know when they get to the science, their fourth period science, and it's going to be the exact same expectations there. So that helps at the teacher level because you're not having to develop new expectations, uh, although you certainly would want to fit your expectations into what those school-wide expectations are. So let's talk a little bit more about that actually. So then what? So you want to try to align your classroom expectations to the school-wide expectations. So I was just mentioning, if the school has decided on, safe, responsible, respectful, then you want to try to use those within your classroom. And the reason that you would do that, or rather, how you would do that, is you would reinforce what is expected from students. So that's kind of the acknowledgement side. And then you would reteach what is expected, which is more the discipline side. And they're equally as important. You don't want to have one be more important than the other. You can't just positive kids out of behavior issues, just like you similarly can't just discipline kids out of behavior issues. It really is kind of a balance of both. And so the way again that you do that is by reinforcing what you expect from students using those school-wide expectations. So for example, in the classroom, if I see that a student is doing something that I like, I would be specific, give them that specific feedback, and say, "Hey, I really appreciate how you came into third period today. You had your notebook out, your pencil out, your book out, and you're ready to take notes. Thank you for being responsible by doing those things." And that's just, again, an easy way to have that language remind us as teachers and educators that, yeah, we can acknowledge our students as an option, which sometimes is helpful because we need reminders. So on the other side, for the discipline side, when things don't go well, use those same expectations for discipline conversations. And I always like to tell teachers that your discipline conversation should be centered around those school-wide expectations. So, hey, Joe, I really appreciate how you were trying to do this. However, you can be a lot more responsible right now by doing blank and be very specific about what that is. And that again helps reinforce those expectations. So that's kind of the what side of it. So how, like realistically, how do you do these things and pull these school-wide expectations into your classroom? So the first is, use the school-wide expectations to talk about and to teach your classroom expectations. That's the starting place. So whatever your school expectations are, bring them into your classroom and use them to talk to students, whether you're acknowledging them or disciplining them. And that takes practice. It's not going to come overnight. Uh, you know, when I first started teaching, I think I defaulted to like how my parents would talk to me about things, and then I was like, "Ooh, man, yeah, maybe I don't want to do that." So this just gives you a place to start from, and again, takes practice. Which goes to the next piece. If you can create a behavior matrix with your students, even better. I don't think, again, you can teach your expectations enough. And having a behavior matrix, if again, I'll use safe, responsible, respectful. If you have those three things posted and some examples of what each of those would look like in the classroom, not only is it a reminder for your students, it's a reminder for you to use that language when you talk to students, whether it be acknowledgement or discipline. So I highly encourage you to do that. It doesn't have to be disruptive to your normal routine, especially at the beginning of the year. There's so much to do. I think you could have a realistic conversation with most groups of students within 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the appropriate age level, about what these things are. And I think it'd be meaningful. So if you can do that, that'll really help. I think also one of the ways that this really helps in your classroom is when you can find a way to utilize your school's acknowledgement system in your classroom. So, for example, like at an elementary level, if you have like a token currency or a ticket that you give out for students following your expectations on campus, then find a way to use that in your classroom. Like if you have your own system, maybe you just switch out, you know, like keep all the incentives the same, but maybe you just switch out and start using the tickets from the school instead. Or maybe at the middle school level, find ways to incorporate those into your incentives and rewards and acknowledgments that you have already. Um, I always say, you know, don't reinvent the wheel. So if you've got something you're already doing and it's working, just see if you can find a way to bring this into your classroom culture. And then finally, uh, and again, I can't say this enough, have conversations with students based off of the expectations when it comes to discipline. The more, if you've got a student that's not being respectful on a daily basis, and that's like the understatement of the century for a number of students, then I think it's really important that you really operationalize what it means to be respectful as much as you can. So if that student's not sitting in their seat and ready to learn, then you can say, hey, we can be more responsible by doing this. And every time you say that, you're building that vocabulary, that skill set, which is really what we want to do. We want to teach behaviors. We want to develop student skills, and again, behavior is one of them. So, um, anyway, these are just a few examples of how. As always, I'm here to help. So if you need anything, please reach out to me. But I think that if you can find ways to incorporate the school-wide expectations into your classroom, you will have a much less difficult year. It's not easy, and it takes time, but I think students start to respond to it because, again, they know what to expect when they go from place to place. And there hasn't been anywhere I've been where more consistency leads to more behavior problems. It's always the opposite. So, that being said, as always, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you. Bye.